let me go back to your career for just a second. What was the transition for you going from amateur to pro? Like, what made you go, all right, I'm going pro?
There was two things that happened. The first was sitting in the office when I was in a cubicle and realized that it was my choice and that it was mine. You know, I didn't play for anybody else. I've never played for my parents. I've never played for anything other than what I wanted and to live up to the potential that I knew I had. The second thing was I qualified for the US Open in 2005 at Cherry Hills, and this is going to sound terrible, but I always felt like professional athletics was very self-serving, that it was a very selfish endeavor, that, you know, what do you really contribute to the world if you go and play just for yourself? And at Cherry Hills, I played my very first hole in my practice round, and I was walking to the second tee, and they had let out a junior clinic. And they all wanted my autograph when they have no clue who I am, and I'm just some college player. Like, I don't, you know, so I enjoy giving autographs, and I'm signing for the kids, and my playing partners had gone and teed off on the second hole, and so I had to leave the kids because it was my turn, so I left, and I was like, I'll be back. So I go and I tee off, and then I come back, and there was 2 other kids I had to sign for, and as I turned around, the parents all started clapping. And honestly, it was so touching because I realized that something so little that meant very little to me meant a whole lot to other people. And I realized that as a professional athlete, you can make a huge difference, and you have a huge platform to speak from. I thought that whatever I thought of professional athletes was completely wrong, and that this is where I could do what I wanted to do and be happy because I'm doing what I love to do. And I realized that this was exactly what I was looking for in a profession. And so it was kind of those 2 big moments that made me realize that professional golf was going to be a very good fit for me.
And how have you used that platform? But your involvement in the Golf Channel, tell me about that, and then tell me other platforms in the way that you use that.
I think the thing I'm most proud of when I look back on my professional career is that I hosted a charity event for 2 years in Seattle when I was still living in Washington that benefited a homeless shelter for women and children that helped them become self-sufficient. It was not just a stopping ground. It was a place that they learned and had to learn life skills, pay rent, but it gave them an opportunity. And to me, that has been my biggest accomplishment in professional golf, is that I was able to raise money for an incredible, you know, charity that I hold dear to my heart. And so that, I think, was the biggest thing that I've been able to do as far as my platform goes. I think from now on, you know, now that I've moved out of the state of Washington, I would love to have another charity event, but while I'm still playing professionally and while I'm working for the Golf Channel, the biggest thing is just to set an example by my actions. I think that is the best thing that I can do for, you know, the kids that watch us play, and to be happy on the golf course, because that's what people want to see. And I love the game of golf, and I want people to know that it's an incredible game, and it can change, it can influence people's lives. It is such a great game of integrity and character and sportsmanship that I want more kids to want to play golf. So I will do what I can to set a good example so that more kids will want to be golfers on the LPGA Tour or PGA Tour.
Yeah. What is your role with the Golf Channel? How did that come about? How long have you been working with them? What do you do for them? Give me that.
So the very first time I worked for Golf Channel in studio was I did a week at Golf Central. And I think that was probably a disaster, and I really hope that they burn the tapes. But it was very fun, and it was an incredible learning experience, and they saw something that they wanted to see more of, and then they put me on their morning show for a couple weeks this year during the US Open and the Women's British Open. And I learned to, I mean, I loved it to start with, but I think I learned to be better so that it was even more fun. And so I started working for their morning drive, you know, the morning drive, their morning program, and I've done a few weeks, and I certainly hope that they keep me around, and we'll do a few more weeks next year, because I enjoy it, and I really like to be able to give an LPGA perspective. I think that on that show specifically, they need a woman in studio to talk LPGA golf, and I was happy that they've asked me to be a part of that. And you know, I don't mind talking PGA Tour golf either, but it's been nice to be able to, you know, highlight some of the great stuff going on the LPGA.
What do you want your legacy to be? What do you want? I mean, obviously you have a heart for kids. You have a heart for women. You have a heart for empowerment. I can see that in you. But you also want to represent your family well. You want
Right.
to represent your country well. Like, what is it that you want to leave as your legacy?
I think that's a very good question.
It's a hard one, I know.
It's a hard question. My hope for my legacy would be just to leave the game better than I found it. I think that's the biggest thing. I think that's the biggest thing any golfer can do. And obviously, I want people to think highly of what I accomplished, not only on the golf course, but off the golf course, whether it be with Golf Channel or whether it be with charity work or anything else. I would like to set a good example. I would like a little kid to say, hey, you know what, I want to be like her. And so I think that's the biggest thing, you know, when I think about how I would like to leave the game and how I would like people to remember me.
And what do you want? What do you want your team? What do you want the Spirit to have accomplished for the sake of amateur golf? For the sake of, you know, younger kids who are coming up into exactly where you were.
Right.
You know, why is it such an important event, and why is it a rewarding aspect for you to be a part of it?
Yeah. I think the reason the Spirit is important, and I think the reason the Spirit is unique, is because it cultivates a spirit of sportsmanship and of camaraderie that is so different than most highly competitive amateur events. And I think that's why I love to be a part of it. That's why I loved it in 2005 when I played, and that's why I love it in 2013 as a captain, is because it's special. And the people that are here create an environment that you get to know each other and that you get to appreciate each other and appreciate the skill of golf, but also each other as people. And I think that's so missing in highly competitive sport. And I think that's why the Spirit's special. And I think Corby Robertson, when he came up with this concept, that was his vision. And it's so exciting to be a part of it, but also to see it fulfilled, because I really feel like the Spirit International is exactly what he had hoped it would be, and that is having a great spirit of competition, but also of, you know, camaraderie.